Welcome to the Gentle Ledger. Today is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, and the market feels like a long exhale after yesterday's tension, as though everyone collectively realized the storm might ease a little sooner than feared. Now, let's turn softly to the U.S. indexes, where stocks rebounded with meaningful strength midweek. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed about 588.64 points to finish at 49,077.23, up roughly 1.2% on the session as relief rippled through broad markets. The Nasdaq Composite rose by 270.50 points to 23,224.82, a 1.18% gain that brought technology and growth sectors back into focus with renewed confidence. The S&P 500 added 78.76 points, closing at 6,875.62, up around 1.16%, marking its strongest one-day gain in some weeks. The Russell 2000, reflecting smaller companies' resilience, surged about 2.0% to 2,698.17, underscoring a broadening of today's upward move as investors step back into risk assets. Gently moving into the corporate highlights, individual stocks showed both relief and select caution. Intel rallied strongly, lifting near plus 11.7% as semiconductor optimism returned with tactical repositioning, and United Airlines climbed more than plus 2% on upbeat quarterly results. Defensive stalwarts such as Johnson & Johnson softened modestly after mixed earnings, while Netflix drifted lower, down about minus 2% on guidance concerns that tempered broader enthusiasm. Dividend favorites and long-duration names also contributed to the rebound as traders rotated back toward quality. Across sectors, the mood felt less like a sprint and more like a thoughtful return to equities after yesterday's risk-off pause. Overseas, in Asia and Europe, the tide of optimism carried across gently but unevenly. Many Asian markets softened earlier in the day as risk assets stabilized, with Japan's Nikkei 225 trading slightly lower, while China and South Korea also showed modest moves as regional sentiment remained cautious. In Europe, major indexes reflected a mixed reaction. Despite U.S. gains, the FTSE 100, DAX, and Stoxx 600 treaded near flat to slightly lower territory, absorbing both relief from tariff fears and lingering geopolitical uncertainty. This interplay painted a global picture of cautious optimism, where appetites for risk gradually returned without erasing the week's earlier anxieties. In commodities and bonds, the story shifted quietly but with depth beneath the equity bounce. Gold surged to a fresh record above $4,800 per ounce, climbing toward the $4,885 area as safe haven demand remained elevated even amid a market rebound. A vivid reminder that uncertainty still has its seat at the table. Oil prices moved higher as well, with both WTI crude near the $60 to $61 area and Brent crude near $64 to $65 per barrel, supported by supply concerns and stabilized sentiment. In fixed income, U.S. 10-year Treasury yields eased back as bond prices gained ground, drifting lower after recent spikes and softening the backdrop for equities. These moves felt like a broad repricing of risk rather than a simple return to trend. Turning now to the newer corners of finance, in crypto land we saw a gentle but meaningful bounce that mirrored the equity recovery. Bitcoin reclaimed ground toward the low $90,000, edging higher as traders interpreted softened headline risk and a modest pickup in risk appetite. Other major tokens likewise edged up, folding neatly into the broader narrative of sentiment stabilization and connection between digital assets and traditional markets. It was neither explosive nor timid, just gradual, reflective, and aligned with the day's broader tone of relief. As the day fades into evening, let's rest in the reflective summary and outlook. Today's session felt like a collective recalibration, indexes clawing back losses, safe havens holding their elevated ground, and risk sentiment finding firmer footing after yesterday's turbulence. From gold's historic heights to equities' rebound, the narrative was not one of reversal, but of thoughtful balance. It was a reminder that markets are living dialogues with global events, and sometimes relief is simply the next paragraph in a story still being written. Tonight, may this gentle pace carry you into calm and clarity. Attentive, ameliorated, and grounding. Good night.